and fight, just like a versus movie, like Freddy versus Jason, Godzilla versus King Kong, any of that stuff. The only catch is that they're impossible. We only have a few rules. Is that we're not going to do same universe stuff. So we're not going to do Mario versus Luigi, Batman versus Superman. We want them to be as completely distant from each other as possible. We want to do nothing that's a popular discussion like Mario versus Sonic, Superman versus Goku. You are not going to hear about any of this stuff anywhere else. Also, not going to do things that have already happened, like Terminator vs. Robocop or King Kong vs. Godzilla, and no real people. So everything else is on the table. Uh, I'm joined with my good friend Preston. Preston, say hello.
Hey everyone, how we doing?
Back for his third episode of Impossible versus Matches.
It's great to be here.
And Preston, I'm going to throw a curveball into this specific episode.
Oh,
No superheroes are allowed in this episode.
oh shoot, man. Okay.
Yep.
Well, hopefully I have some picks that'll be avoided of that,
So no one
or
from
avoidable. I've got a couple superheroes, but not too crazy.
so definitely no one from the universe of Marvel or DC. I think it's fun with the show to just switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I've got some comic book superheroes of sorts, but not from those two major as brands.
Well, I mean any superhero really, but anime characters are okay for this one. Anime manga,
Okay.
I'll allow it. Um,
All right.
so if we get one on the randomizer, we'll just respin. And for those of you who do not know, we each have a randomizer wheel with 50 characters of our own choice, all laid out, and we're basically just going to be taking turns spinning the wheel and giving each other little scenarios. So, Preston, would you like to start this one?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Okay. Well, I'm going to spin the wheel for you. And very fun choice. Our first contestant today is Ron Burgundy.
Oh, that's a good choice. It's a good start. I'm spinning now. Let's see who I get. Okay, I got Twintel from Arms.
Wow. Okay. It's a pretty out there pick.
Yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. Your pick was who again? I'm sorry.
Ron Burgundy from Anchorman.
Oh boy. All right, this is gonna be good. All right. I think I know where I'm gonna start this one off.
All right.
So Ron Burgundy, famous anchorman extraordinaire, catches wind about a boxing match of unorthodox practices, let's say, and he's really excited about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, boys, let's go and check out this fight. I heard it's between a girl and another girl, and they've got really long arms, and I would really like to
What was that?
quickly, so we should get over there."
You cut out for a second there, Preston. What was that last part?
And oh, I was just saying, Mr. Burgundy was saying that I've heard this fight's supposed to escalate pretty quickly, so
Ah.
we should get down there, get some good seats. So him and the Anchorman crew go down to this fight, and now Ron Burgundy, being the womanizer that he sees that Twintel is one of the two in the matchup fight here in the ring, and Mr. Burgundy's having a high old time. He's got VIP seating, and he's sitting there with the rest of the crew, smoking a cigar, having a good time.
Right.
But he sees Twintel come out into the ring, and he then goes ahead and just immediately starts lusting over Twintel, her physique, the way that she, just presents herself on the stage. It's very promiscuous, and Ron Burgundy's this fight starts, and Ron Burgundy's just mesmerized the entire time, and he's thinking in his head like, how can I get with this woman here. And he decides to take matters into his own hand in round 3 when Twintel's got a little bit of a lead on the other challenger. And so he uses this opportunity to his VIP status to interrupt the boxing match. And he goes right into the ring, just runs up there during the timeout. They're during their break, they're getting water, washing the blood off their faces. And Ron Burgundy starts to basically unravel or unveil his secret desires for Twintelli. And she's not cool with this. She's like, look, dude, I'm in the middle of a fight and you need to keep your distance. And Ron Burgundy tries to move in closer. He's about maybe 6 feet away from her, practicing perfect social distancing.
Right.
And he starts to inch closer, and that's when Twintelli says, I said back off. And she basically just uses her arms or her hair and basically just bops Anchorman right in the nose. And he's like, oh my God. I can't believe that this woman's so strong. She's so powerful. And it makes him fall for her even more. So he basically just goes crazy Anchorman status, uh, as if like, he's wearing the Panther perfume and he thinks that he's just, invulnerable and very attractive, which Twintelli does not think of this. So she
Why
she
would
goes ahead and she basically switches the matchup at that round 3 point, and basically just now it's a fight between Twintel and Anchorman in the ring.
right.
And I'm gonna just go ahead and say that Twintelli just has great lengths on him
Yeah.
in regards
He-
to her arms.
he's not obviously Ron Burgundy is not going to win against Twintel from arms, but I'm sure the rest of the news team will get involved as well.
Oh, absolutely. So, as this fight begins to enact between Twintel and Anchorman, the rest of the boys are cheering him on from the sideline. They're like, "Yeah, you'll get her. Put her into submission," and like saying all this wrestling stuff to him, and he's just not understanding the fact that this is a boxing match, and so he's very trying to go in for tackles and grapples, and every time he does, he just keeps getting bopped in the face,
Yeah,
bopped in the side.
because you can't grab a character from arms.
No, unless you have arms like they do.
Yes, which
And
Ron Burgundy does not.
he does not know. He has some pretty luscious locks, but they're not quite as long. And so Ron Burgundy basically just gets a run for his money there in the ring. And Twintel just rocks him round 4. And the boys end up freaking out. And they all try to basically, it's like the whole Anchorman showdown. And they just start standing up with weapons, and they get up onto the ring and they try to all gang up on Twintel, and she just freaking just does like this whirlwind attack, just spins around and just basically just clotheslines every single one of them.
Yeah,
And Burgundy's on the ground and he's starting to come back up. He's starting to gain consciousness a little bit. He looks super disheveled, got a black eye, bloody nose, and he notices that there's a, a wrench, we'll say a wrench,
yeah,
as a weapon on the mat. And so he goes and he tries to throw it at Twintel, and it hits her in the forehead. Doesn't knock her out or anything like that, but she ends up getting pretty heated to the point where she says "F this," and basically enacts her special like star power. It's like a feature that they have in the game, and she just unloads a freaking wallop on this man. And Ron Burgundy is now beaten practically to a pulp, with tears in his eyes, confessing his love for Twintel and how strong and beautiful she is. And she's standing over him, and as he says, something along the lines of, "Oh, my Lanta, you are my woman." She just hits him with the final blow while he's on the ground, and it's just a good night for Anchorman.
Yep.
Twintel not only wins the match of Anchorman, but she proceeds to then go and finish her fight out. And it's just a successful yet weird day for Twintel,
Yep.
and a very sad and beaten day for Anchorman.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Yep. That I like how for anyone that knows who both of these characters are, that matchup goes exactly how anyone would expect it to be. It's the description that makes it fun.
Yeah, definitely,
I
definitely.
mean, you put Ron Burgundy against any like attractive female in our list, and it's just it writes itself.
Yeah, it's basically just lust over any sort of means of ethics, or logic. His emotions carry out his actions a lot of the time.
Of
If
course.
you know you're familiar with the man and his character.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll move on to the next round.
Sounds good, my man. I am going to give this here a good spin. Let's see who you got as your front runner.
Yep. Who do
Ooh, okay. Oh, nice. Yeah. All right. So you've got Leatherface,
Oh, perfect.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay. Oh my goodness. This is brilliant. This is why I made this show. So, first of all, Leatherface is on my list as well, so I'm going to get rid of Leatherface. But Leatherface is going against the brave little toaster.
Oh shit! I could see this going so many ways, dude.
I'm gonna need a minute.
You take
Let,
your time, bro. You figure out your best approach for that.
Leatherface versus the brave little toaster. All right.
You got to say the brave little toaster's probably not afraid.
I mean, the brave little toaster is pretty brave, but for anyone that has seen the brave little toaster, we know that the brave little toaster has gone up against probably some of the most terrifying things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Honestly, honestly, in terms of unsettling, I'd rank the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the brave little toaster probably on equal footing. Oh man, there's a dark, threatening aura to the brave little toaster movie. But okay, so what gets them to fight? Okay. So, are you familiar with the plot of the Brave Little Toaster?
Oh, my bad. I missed that question. Yeah, I am for the most part. I mean, I've seen it a handful of times. Um,
Okay.
as cohesively as I remember it, I can't really recall.
Okay. Well, solid. So basically, the Brave Little Toaster gets left at a cabin, and then he goes on an adventure to find his master, which is the kid that owned him and his appliance friends back in the day, but now he's grown up. And eventually, basically, the guy finds them and takes them on the rest of their lives. So how this goes is the character known as the Master, who is just he's the owner of the Brave Little Toaster and his friends, the vacuum and the lamp and all that. Um, they decide to go on a road trip, and this this particular road trip leads leads the master's girlfriend slash wife from the movie, as well as the brave little toaster and his appliance friends, because for some reason he's taking these things with him. He's taking a toaster and a vacuum and a desk lamp with him on a road trip. We don't need to go into the specifics. It doesn't have to make sense. It's brave little toaster versus Leatherface. um, so they're going on a road trip, and this just happens to lead them through um the back deep country section of Texas, and they see a hitchhiker. They see they run into Chop Top from one of the sequels to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The guy that like uses a lighter on a hanger and is like chipping at his scalp or whatever. And for some
Oh,
reason, they decide to pick up this hitchhiker, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff ensues where they ditch the hitchhiker. The car breaks down, and then the master and the girlfriend decide to go into the nearby house. And I can't believe this is a scenario.
it sounds like a classic storyline right now, though. Classic horror
Um,
storyline.
yeah, it's
You know,
basically the
you got
plot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre right now. So the two human characters end up in the house. Leatherface finds them and kills them, and in traditional Leatherface fashion, makes them into a furniture item of sorts. Um, And so it's up to the brave little toaster and their appliance friends to once again find the master. However, what they're not expecting is that the master is now a toaster himself. so, so so basically, um, the rest of it goes like a slasher movie where the rest of the brave little toaster's friends are picked off one by one, but it's mainly just by the rest of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family. I forget what they're called, but like the rest of them are like picking up like, oh, I could use this to make scrap, or like scrap the vacuum or something like that. So basically they're getting picked off one by one. The toaster's the only one that's left. And so the brave little toaster is walking through the Leatherface house. I forget what the family's name is, like the actual name, but we'll just say Leatherface house. And he finds the master's like skin toaster.
Oh my god.
And but so here's the thing: is that so from what I'm led to believe, through brave little toaster ness, like the humans do not know that the appliances are alive. But now that he is himself an appliance, he can actually talk to the toaster. And so basically, the brave little toaster is in this hellish landscape where all like the skin furniture is talking to him. So it's basically like, zombie furniture because they're all, appliances and like furniture and things that can talk to the toaster. And the toaster decides to take revenge by taking down Leatherface. And how this goes down is he eventually gets Leatherface. Leatherface does not like that he's a appliance with not skin on him. So, he comes at him with the chainsaw, and the toaster plugs himself in and like sacrifices himself by getting chainsawed in like the toast hole, the toast slot, and therefore electrocuting Leatherface.
That's amazing. That's actually where I was hoping you were gonna take it, because I was gonna say, have them do the whole traveling business, and then when they get to the house where Leatherface is, it maybe turns into like a Saw type situation where it's just like Leatherface has got multiple traps set up for anybody who tries to escape, and his friends get picked off. But
Right.
then there's like a tub of water or a tub of blood that the little toaster is able to plug himself in and unnoticeably trip Leatherface into the pool of blood. And while he is plugged in, he then says like Geronimo and jumps into the pool of blood while plugged
Classic.
in, and just shocks the hell out of
Here
Leatherface.
goes nothing.
Yeah, here goes nothing.
The part I love most about this is just like, can you imagine the cute little animated brave little toaster in the Leatherface house, and suddenly all like the skin furniture starts like talking as some like abomination.
Oh, dude, that would be a wacky horror comedy.
It would be a horror comedy, but it'd be the most terrifying visual.
Oh, absolutely.
I,
It's such a difference. There's, that like duality and the idea of
I,
what each one's purpose is and
I'm
their intention.
imagining I'm imagining this scenario animated in the style of the original Brave Little Toaster movie.
Oh my God, that would be great.
Just
I was
cartoon.
otherwise picturing him as like meshed together, like a Roger Rabbit type thing, where it's just little toaster and live Leatherface.
It's cartoon hijinks with Leatherface, but people do die, and there is skin furniture. And
There's skin furniture.
yeah, I gotta tell you, I cannot wait to draw this one.
Oh
I,
yeah, no,
I
that's gonna
might
be a good one.
I might even delay the episode and do like a good like original piece because
Oh yeah, that'd be cool, man.
it's not a secret. It's not a secret, if you watch the other videos that I'm basically just tracing just to save time because making the illustration takes about 30 minutes of time to make each one. So I'll save a little
Of course.
time and do some tracing. I just
Yeah, yeah, no, and
hate them and stuff.
I mean, hey, you're doing digital tracing too, which is a lot more difficult to get, a good feel for rather than like traditional, pen and paper or pencil.
Right, and it is, but it also, it's a lot quicker to just go over the official picture or whatever. But Brave Little Toaster versus Leatherface, I think I might have to take a little bit of extra time on to go ahead and make that because
Well, that sounds good, man,
that's
because yeah,
probably my
that's quite the
favorite.
scenario.
That's my favorite one that we've done on this show so far. Just by name alone, Brave Little Toaster versus Leatherface.
And I was thinking, like, imagine if the brave little toaster had a catchphrase when he jumped into like whatever
Oh
to
yeah.
shock Leatherface, and he was just like, "Born to be brave."
Yeah, like something from the movie. I think you hit the nail on the head with like the Geronimo. That's such like a kids cartoon thing to do is yelling
Right.
Geronimo when you jump.
Yeah.
Um, and he's got the remains of the blanket like wrapped around him like it's a cape because the blanket's dead.
Oh yeah, blanket is dead.
Yeah, everyone is dead now except for the brave little toaster. But yeah, Leatherface like shoves his chainsaw like into like the toast slot while the brave little toaster is like plugged in, thus shocking Leatherface. Um, or it becomes a scenario because I don't think shocking Leatherface would kill Leatherface, especially not from a toaster. Now, if it was like a car battery, we might have a different scenario on our hands. But he's a toaster, and Leatherface has gone through a whole bunch of stuff. It might end up as like a Saw scenario where like the toaster is talking to him from like afar, and Leatherface doesn't know where the voice is coming from. Um, or Brave Little Toaster leads like an uprising of skin furniture because they're all alive now.
Oh, dude, that would be great.
But
I
because
like
it's
the
like
first proposal too because like that would be switching the vibes of each one. You can make it super suspenseful to where it's like the little toaster's shadow is like showing up behind him and stuff like that, but he just doesn't know where he is.
I'm
And
many
then
places, Leatherface, but
yeah.
where?
Yeah, nice house. I hope
I
you
think
know it
I'll
like
keep
the
it.
back of your faces.
Here's where the comedy comes in: is he leads an uprising, like a revolt from like the skin furniture, like the skin lamps or whatever. But because they're made of different people stitched together, he's like, "You guys have to work together, learn to be friends." Because they're like, "I want to go this way," and the other one's like, "No, we're going this way." And it's just like it's the most morbid thing you can think of. It's like
No, my.
they probably have a musical number and like the flies are like singing or something. Oh, this is a gross but hilarious matchup, and I'm very glad this is what the wheel has given us.
Thank you, wheel. Praise the wheel.
Blessed be the wheel. I could probably go on about Brave Little Toaster versus Leatherface all day, but
I feel you,
I think
and
we'll
there's
move on.
there's a lot of ways we could play that out.
All right, I'm gonna spin the wheel for you, give you your scenario,
Sounds good.
and you have this character from classic cinema. You got King Kong.
Oh man, I got the King of Kong. All right. Who's King Kong going up against?
Yep, King Kong, giant ape. Now you get to choose which version of Kong you're using as well, of course.
Oh, cool.
Because you got the
Uh,
30s one, you got Peter Jackson, you got the one from Skull Island, which is the biggest one. Skull Island is the big one.
Skull Island is a big one. I think I'm gonna go. So I just rolled and I got Kirby.
Solid.
So I think I'm gonna go with the 30s King Kong on this
Okay.
one.
Okay, the
Just to make it a little bit more balanced, I think, for what I'm thinking about how they would otherwise get together here.
the classic Kong.
Classic Kong, man in suit.
Oh, stop
Um,
motion.
oh, it was stop motion. You're right.
Yeah,
My bad.
that's okay.
Freaking. So this is how I'm thinking that they would otherwise encounter each other. So we got Kirby, and Kirby's out in the galaxy, and he's air riding, right? And he's going from, I don't even know what his name or his land is that he is. Is it Dreamland or is it Popo Island? I don't know.
Kirby's from Dreamland, which is part of the planet Popstar.
Okay, so Kirby's out on an air ride from Dreamland outside of Popstar that he's like going around and he's just out in the galaxy. He's just doing his thing. He's out in the skies and he ends up getting struck down by a meteor, right? A meteor hits him off of his little star cruiser.
Okay.
And he starts falling down toward a planet. And Kirby's a bit resilient. He's basically just a little ball of bubble gum, so he's kind of rubber and he's quite resilient. So the atmosphere doesn't quite kill him as he's coming in. We could also say that maybe he's got his own little star power type thing going on, to where he crash lands in New York at the time in which King Kong is there wreaking havoc. And Kirby, Kirby being Kirby, he senses and realizes through the events that are happening that like people are in distress. This monster gorilla is causing a scene, and Kirby, as cute as he is, tries to intervene on King Kong's ascension of the Eiffel Tower, or not the Eiffel Tower, but the Empire State Building.
So Kirby has crash landed into 1930s New York.
Yes,
Specifically,
we could say he hit a wormhole to where he went back in time.
I mean, we don't know what time period Kirby takes place, so I'll buy it.
Okay,
but he's arrived at the moment where Kong is like the climax of the movie, where Kong has started his climb on the Empire State Building.
Yes. So basically, it's right there in the midst of the action at the most distressing point, and Kirby senses that things are wrong and that people aren't able to de-escalate this situation quickly. And Kirby then does notice, though, being on ground level, that his star starts shooting across the sky and lands on top of the Empire State Building, where Kong is otherwise up there with a woman, and she's screaming, she's in distress, and Kirby's like, "Oh boy!" And he enacts real quickly. He then blows himself up and starts bloop 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 bloop, fluttering his way all the way to the top of the Empire State Building. And when he gets up there, he like gets swatted down by King Kong, because King Kong's massive, got the big gorilla hands. And Kirby's like, "Oh," and he's pretty hurt, but he's still able to get back up.
Right.
And he does the same thing again, but this time he comes up, he releases his air that he's got built up inside of him right in King Kong's eye. Now, King Kong, he doesn't have the best vision, and he's already got some dry eyes. So Kirby ends up basically like making it so that he has to like close his eyes and they start to water, and the girl's still in his hand. And while that's happening, and he's like rubbing his eyes, and things are going on. Helicopters are flying around, shooting at him. He ends up trying to suck the girl. it as phrasing. I'm sorry about that. He tries to suck up the girl from King Kong's hand, and he starts to like wedge her out, and then King Kong finally like gets his vision back right, and he sees that Kirby's there just on the top of the building or on his arm that he's holding the girl with, and he's just like tiny little bug, right? So this is where things start to get a little dark, though, unfortunately. So King Kong goes to swat at Kirby. Kirby's like right on the wrist of King Kong where he's holding this girl. So he goes to slap it. Unfortunately, he ends up crushing the girl that's in his hand. And King Kong then becomes very distressed. King Kong's like, he like notices what he's done. He notices that the girl is now like a limp just body in his hand. And he's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. And so he starts enraging even more. And so what Kirby decides to do is being like hit himself, but like he just squishes down into like a freaking stepped on piece of gum and then bounces back because he's so, resilient. And he then he then ends up trying to enact a very strong gust of like wind and try to blow King Kong off of the Empire State Building. And he seems to be doing a pretty good job because King Kong's like really fighting this wind that Kirby's got going on. You know how Kirby's got like that tornado blow that he could do from the shows.
Yeah.
He's basically doing that, but in like reverse motion. So instead of sucking in, he's blowing out. And basically, King Kong's having a hard time holding on. And Kirby then finishes off that tornado when he sees that like King Kong's grip is just on the fingertips, basically holding onto the building. He then goes into a little fireball as he does in say Super Smash Bros. And he just bonks King Kong right in the snout. And King Kong loses his grip, tries to hang on with his feet, kind of like does like a back handspring sort of thing and like crashes his head to the side of the building and then just ends up falling down to the ground. And people try to clear out of the way. Kirby takes this opportunity as King Kong is falling to hit the star that he had lost, his Star Cruiser.
Yeah.
And he basically tries to beat King Kong to the ground. And as he's doing this, he makes it to the ground before King Kong does. He's able to kind of blow people out of the way real quick. And as he does that, he then does the sucking up motion large enough to where King Kong is then sucked up by Kirby. And Kirby then basically just bloop turns into King Kong. And the people of New York are very confused. They don't know where this creature came from, what was its motive, but all they know is that they stopped the distress of King Kong. But now they're very confused because this pink creature is also now King Kong.
And he just gets on the star and flies away.
He's just like, he's on the star after he had sucked him up, and he's just like, ooh, ooh, ah, ah, and then just bow back into the atmosphere. Yeah, bye. And
just
he
surfs
goes
away.
back off to Dreamland.
Yep. I thought you were going to end this where King Kong falls, he hits the ground, and Kirby follows it up with just jumping in the air, and then just in true Smash Bros. Fashion, just turns into a rock and just falls down on top of Kong.
Oh my god! You know what? I didn't even think of that, but that works so much well. That works really well too, if not even better than what I was saying before.
I liked what you
basically.
I'm imagining Kirby sucking up King Kong and then becoming the height of King Kong. Like, imagine Kong, but he's pink and has like Kirby's face. but he has that. He still has that ape. Like he still has the shape of an ape.
Yeah, no.
Brilliant.
And he's so large that the star is just under one of his toes.
Right. Or he's just
And
like
he's
hanging on with like his index finger and his thumb. Brilliant.
exactly.
Now, if you folks at home want to reenact this, just boot up Smash Ultimate and have Kirby versus Giant Donkey Kong on 4-side.
Dude, that was my thoughts exactly.
If you know, you know. Versus Giant Donkey Kong.
The king of Donkey Kongs.
Of course. That's pretty good. I'm glad we got Kirby and King Kong going against each other.
That is quite the matchup. I do enjoy that.
Very good. We're having a very good episode so far.
I'd say so.
So I guess let's go on to our last one of this episode.
All right, my man. I'm going to give it a good spin here,
All right.
avoiding hopefully any superheroes. Oh. Okay, I got to give this a re-roll because I ended up getting a superhero
Okay. Which one did you get?
from the Marvel Universe. I ended up getting Venom.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if this is gonna. I don't know if you've had already done this one or not, but I remember you had said you had done like a practice run with the improv with some of these characters, but my specific one is Peter Venkman from the
Ah,
Ghostbusters.
only Peter Venkman. Okay.
Only Peter Venkman, yes.
Okay, only Bill Murray's Ghostbuster character. Well, okay, that means that I will be taking
Yeah.
out the Ghostbusters from my list, but you know what? That's okay. Let's see who he's going against. Hopefully nothing too easy. He is going against spinning the wheel, spinning the wheel. Huh. Okay. Very much some characters from the past. Consider them throwback characters now because this is Peter Venkman, the Ghostbuster, versus Roseanne.
Oh, that this could be pretty good. Being that it is just solely Peter Venkman.
Yeah.
So he could be suited up as a Ghostbuster, or he could be classic Peter and be kind of a fly by the seat of his pants type of individual, very suave and, you know, got that kind of assholey snarky charm.
Hmm. All right. Let's see. So I think I've got this. Now I'm someone that I thought Roseanne would just be really funny to put on my wheel, but I've never actually like legitimately watched Roseanne. Um, but I think I've got an idea. So this is pre the Connors Roseanne. So this is retro 90s Roseanne going on here. So the Ghostbusters get a call, and it's John Goodman. And he says that his wife Roseanne has been possessed because Roseanne is not acting like herself. She's sending out a whole bunch of racist tweets and is doing things that no one would have thought Roseanne to do. Also, Preston, you're muted.
Yeah, that's my bad. I had a quick little interruption there, and I just
Ah,
didn't want it to get recorded.
oh, okay. No worries then. Um, but you got that scenario down.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's John Goodman.
It's got
And
some potential. Let's see
yeah,
where these legs walk them.
yeah, so he's like, my wife's not herself. She's sending out a bunch of racist tweets, and I've never known her to be like this before. And because it's Roseanne, you see it.
Right.
And so obviously this doesn't sound like something that the Ghostbusters would normally handle with. So, the secretary's like, oh, he says there's a possession, and Egon's like, "Oh, Venkman, you gotta check out Roseanne," and he's like, "Oh, check out Roseanne. Don't mind if I do," because because he's like, "Oh, Roseanne," and because he's like, "Oh, sounds sexy," and then he goes to the Connor's house and is disappointed when he finds that Roseanne actually looks like Roseanne, and this basically leads to because Peter Venkman, looking back, is not actually a very likable character. He's kind of an asshole,
Mm.
in my opinion. So he's basically shown up to he showed up for the reasoning of investigating a paranormal possession with a woman he imagines would be attractive, but when he finds out that it's actually Roseanne, he has come to the Connor's house to tell a bunch of fat jokes or something. Uh, so, so basically, Peter Venkman ends up being super insulting and doesn't see anything wrong, but the Connor, John Goodman's character, being hospitable, he's like, you know what, you came all this way, why don't you spend the night here at the why don't you spend the night here at the house? And Venkman's like, okay, I mean, this is far off from New York, so yeah, I'll stay. So Venkman's got his ghost busting gear, and he's sleeping in the Connor's house, and he hears like a thumping, and so like and like his door busts open. It's Roseanne, and she's pissed. she she calls him a monkey, or like calls him like the N word or something for no reason because it's Roseanne, and like jumps on top of Venkman's bed like with a knife, like trying to get at him, and Venkman is like blocking her, thing. And he's like, "Whoa, hold on! At least take me out to dinner first," because he's Peter Venkman, and that's what he would say. And so he like throws her off the bed. Now he believes that the possession is real because she wasn't acting like that before, but now she's like spouting a bunch of like hate speech and is attacking him with a knife. So he takes out the proton pack, and he shoots her with it, and then she explodes, and he's like, "Wait a minute, this smells familiar. Ambien."
Is it ambient BR? It's got to be ambient BR.
Yeah, it's whatever she blamed her like Twitter outburst on.
Oh
Ambien,
my
I think it
god.
was like, "Oh, I was taking Ambien to help me sleep, and it makes me racist."
Oh my
Something
god.
like that. So, and then John Goodman comes out and he's like, "What happened?" And he's like, "I had to take down your wife. She was possessed by Ambien." And he's like, "I'm finally free." And
I can see him saying some shit like that where he's just like, yeah, I'm finally free, or he's like, it's about time. Worse things could have happened.
it's over now.
It's
So,
over now.
so
Finally, I can sleep.
the Connors are finally able to leave their house, which is now possessed by the real ghost of Roseanne Barr. And
Oh my god. I hope she remains racist. Not in the fact that racism is good, but for the fact that she carries over her characteristics into the
oh,
limbo realm.
yeah, of
And
course. Basically, she becomes a racist spirit, so much more powerful. The Connors have left, but Venkman is behind because now he realizes there's like a legitimate ghost to deal with. So, so now there's the racist ghost of Roseanne Barr, um, and so Venkman has to call the rest of the Ghostbusters to come and cross the streams because that's the power level needed to take down Roseanne.
her no longer ambient filled body is now too resilient in the
Yeah,
spiritual realm to
yeah,
where they need to cross the streams, the one thing they could never do before.
yeah. They have to do it, much like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh, amazing. Oh, has Peter Venkman already taken on the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? Can he reference the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in the idea? He's like, this is going to be a little bit more challenging than a giant marshmallow.
Yeah, something like that.
And
So
Roseanne just gets
eventually,
even more pissed because she's like, are you still calling me fat?
he's like, "No, I'm calling you racist." Because originally, like, he thinks he needs help, but she ends up becoming more powerful when Winston shows up.
Oh my God.
And so they have to cross the streams, and that's Peter Venkman versus Roseanne from Roseanne.
Gosh, Roseanne Barr. She escaped prison bars and she just couldn't escape the supernatural bars
Yep.
of Ambien.
This is what happens between Roseanne and the new show The Conners, where they continue doing the Roseanne show but just without Roseanne.
Oh my God.
This is the in between segment that is just a comic book.
Oh, this is the segue filler
Yeah,
that
this is
leads,
the segue.
that builds the spinoff.
Yeah, this is the ghost busting episode.
Jesus, man, you got to pitch this to
Fantastic.
somebody.
This is this is fantastic. This has been a very funny episode.
I very much enjoyed it. I think that our the wheel has been very gracious to
Yeah.
us. Thank you.
Anchorman, Twintel, Leatherface versus the Brave Little Toaster, Ghostbusters, Roseanne, and King Kong versus Kirby. Very good.
Oh my gosh, this has
Oh,
been great.
all right. So that is it for this episode of Impossible versus Matches. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Preston, for coming on the show again.
Yes, thank you for having me. I very much appreciate being here. I enjoy this a lot. So anytime you want me to feature, you just let me know. And thank you again, viewers, for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the show so far, and there's a lot more fun to come. So stay tuned and be sure to follow my boy, Joseph Payson, and 469 Productions. Shout outs to his associates. And again, I very much appreciate you having me on. So thank you.
And you can find Preston's info in the link in the description below if you want to find his YouTube channel or just follow him on Instagram.
My man, appreciate you.
Of course. All right. And that is it for this recording.
Awesome, dude.